Well, hi guys. It's nice to be back with you. Oh, this video recording. I have to do everything in one take, so it's pretty hard for me. But anyways, thank you for being with me again on this other Wednesday. And it's our plan to be able to do these on Wednesdays, especially geared more towards the children. And that's my hope anyways, that we can try to get these things more toward the kids. Some of you have commented about this. I'll do like the weather person. This quilt wall hanging that I have, quilted wall hanging. That's from my friend Brooke. Thank you, Brooke, for making that for us. It's beautiful and it goes all over the place. I checked out the details on how far we're reaching now. And we're up to 14 states. Can you believe that? Unbelievable how many people we're reaching with these. But I wanted to share with you a little bit this morning. Today is Earth Day. It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. And so I thought I'd talk a little bit about what that means to me. I actually could write a book on it. Wait, I have written a book on it. That's what I did my master's thesis on, is Earth Care. And so I'm pretty passionate about this whole thing and how it all works for us. Last week we worked on a memory verse. Do you folks have it? Do you remember what it was? Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11. Ecclesiastes 3:11. And it was, He has made all things beautiful in its time. He has made everything beautiful in its time. I'm still working on it myself to get the exact words right. I'm studying it in NIV, and maybe you have that as well. But we looked at what it was to that God has made everything beautiful in its time, including the little animals that scurry on the ground, the wild animals, and we talked a little bit about that. Thank you so much for your comments on me talking about management, wildlife management, and hunting and that kind of thing. I appreciate so much your support and just my views on that. Actually, my views are the views concerning that, at least where the laws are now. And then also that you are beautiful. So we looked at scurrying little animals that God made that are beautiful. We looked at wild animals in the creation event, and how He made them beautiful, and then how He made you beautiful. And I ask you, parents, to write on a mirror, look what God has made beautiful for your kids to see when they go and see the mirror, and I hope that you did that. But I walked into my own bathroom, and after my lovely wife had seen that, I walked in and across where I put my face to shave in the morning, it said, "Look what is beautiful," and I appreciate that so much. So we talked about that a little bit. Oh, you probably want to have an update on my little animal friend, right? Oh, so I probably should see if I have one of Maggie's. This is what 1 week in the life of a rabbit can do. See how his eyes are open? And he's not only open. This is American Chinchilla breed. They're on the American Rabbit Breeders Association on the critical list. That's why I raised them, because no one seems to want them anymore. But they're absolutely beautiful rabbit. They're a large breed. Look at this guy. He's actually going to a friend of ours. And boy, they sure grow, don't they? Isn't he a cutie? How about that? Oh, they're beautiful. I love the rabbits. Anyways, let me just talk to you a little bit today about what Earth Day means. This is the 50th anniversary of National Earth Day. And I have another memory verse for you. It's Psalm 24, verse 1. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. Can you say that with me? Psalm 24, 1. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. Yeah, there you go. Very good. Earth Day was signed in by President Nixon. Surprised a lot of people. But back in 1970, I was in 9th grade in 1970. From there, it became a world event, this Earth Day that we're celebrating today. What President Nixon was trying to tell us is that God made the earth and that God put us then in charge of taking care of it. See, I talked about that last week a little bit, that we're to tend the garden. We're the managers. We're supposed to be a part of this equation. We're here as people, and we're a part of this natural equation. And so it's our responsibility that we would be involved in managing the earth for God, so that when the Lord returns, then he can ask us, what have you done with what I've given you? And we can talk to him about how we've managed it. And that includes things like managing wildlife. And I think we're really doing a pretty good job of it. Thank you for all the positive comments that I hear from many of you talking about that. In this earth care stuff, the big question becomes, how does one make a difference? How does one person make a difference? You know, there's a story of a little girl, and I have a little girl in Florida watching this, my friend Charlie. I was actually able to dedicate her to the Lord when she was born, and now she's growing up and she's watching those. So hi, Charlie. It's good to be able to speak to you from Montana. But there's a story of a little girl who was walking the beach after a big storm, and the beach was covered with starfish that were all starting to dry out in the sun the next morning after that storm. And so she was walking along that beach, and she would bend down and she would pick up a starfish and she would throw it into the ocean. And a guy came along behind her and said, what do you think you're doing? The beach is covered with starfish and they're all drying out in the sun. You can't actually think that anything that you do is making any difference. And she bent down and picked up another starfish and threw it in the ocean, and then calmly looked over at the man and said, well, I made a difference for that one, didn't I? So the big question that we have is, what can we do when we are really, what can one person do when they're interested in caring for the earth? And I know it's sadly gotten to be an incredibly political issue, but for all of us, we are called to tend this garden that God has given us, and so we want to do the very best we can. What can we do? We can care. Because we care, and because we do care, then we start to do. Our actions are always prompted from our heart, and so we can care. When you begin to care, you open your eyes to the things around you. When you open your eyes, and when your eyes are opened, you do things that make a change, just like the little girl on the beach. So then what can we do? Number one, and rather than all of the reuse, renew, and recycle things that we hear all the time, number one, learn all you can about the world around you. Wild animals like elk and deer. Learn everything you can about the wildlife around you. Right now, the elk and deer are at their lowest fat reserves, and it's concerning many people because of the winter that we've had. If you walk your dog, keep it on a leash. Don't scare the elk or the deer, because they're almost going to have their babies any time now, and so we're really concerned about that. And right now, all of the birds are migrating down through the valley that we have here, and so you can put out a bird feeder, especially for hummingbirds. You can care, and you can learn all you can about the wild world around you. Let me show you some of the books that I've just recently purchased. Here's a book I have. It's about foxes, and I don't know if you're seeing that in reverse. I am. So it must be in reversing the picture on the screen that you'll see it in reverse, but it's Red Fox. And I've been reading this book on Red Fox so that I can learn all that I can about Red Fox. In fact, just recently then, I ordered some other books. This one is on beaver, and you're probably seeing it in reverse because I am. But this book is on beaver. It's a thin little book, but it's a good read concerning the life of beavers. I have another one on beaver so that I can learn all that I can about beavers. I have another one on mink. This is called The American Mink, and I'm reading that and trying to find all I can. And then I have one, and all of these books I've ordered just within the last month. Here's a book on muskrats and marsh management and helping them out. And then I have a book on the flight of the snow geese, because snow geese are coming through right now. And so this is a new book to me. And then a friend of mine just sent me this book, and I will read this as well. It's called The Life of the Spider. Ew, can you imagine that? But I want to learn all I can about the world around me so that I can be able to understand it better, and then my actions then will be based on what I learn about this. And number two, not only learn all that you can, but give back. Give back to the earth because we take from it. And so give back because you take. Hunters and trappers and anglers are the best at this. They really are. I don't just say that because it's a political position I have. It really is true. Think about it. They take so little and they give back so much. They pay for the wildlife research and management. Hunters and anglers and trappers all do. It's funded through their licenses and purchases. Ask your parents to look up and show you the Pittman-Robertson Act. It's a tax. 10% or more of everything hunters buy goes toward wildlife management. So how do you give back? You can plant a tree. You know, wherever I go, I pick up seeds. In fact, I have these seeds with me here. These are of a particular pine tree that a friend of mine gave me from California so that I can plant pine nuts and be able to plant pine trees. I have wood that comes from the trees, actually, that the original man, Johnny Appleseed, planted trees. And so when he planted trees, then his apple trees were able to be used by the people of the Appalachian Mountains, and I've been there, and I have some of that wood. You can plant a tree. Planting a tree is always a great thing. And then you can grow a garden, or you can raise wild birds to release. I've raised pheasants, I've raised quail, and I've released them back into the wild, and you can as well. I'm sure you can get involved with 4-H that would have something for wild turkeys. I'm not sure. There are so many wild turkeys now. What a great story of rebounding and returning. You can build a birdhouse. When I was writing this, even this morning, I looked out. My brother-in-law loves to put birdhouses wherever he goes, and when he was visiting last summer, he bought a birdhouse and then put it back out on our post. This morning as I was writing this, I looked out there and there are two bluebirds, western bluebirds, that are now making their nest in that house that Glenn put out there for us. So thank you, Glenn, and on behalf of the western bluebirds, they thank you as well. You can make a pine marten nesting box for those of you that live where the pine marten are, because they need nesting more all the time. And so you can do that, or you can build wood duck nesting boxes. I've built those and put those out. Or you can even build a bat house so that bats can be able to have a place to nest, and then they come out at night and they eat the insects. So it's wonderful to be able to build houses for the animals that are wanting to nest right now. This is the time of year to have that happen. You can give something back because that's what we do when we tend God's garden, isn't it? What a wonderful thing for us. Psalm 24, verse 1. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. Another thing you can do is learn where things go. Learn where things go. Have you ever been to a garbage dump? I've been to some incredibly large garbage dumps. The nice words they use for them now are called landfills, as if land needs to be filled in. But really, they're a garbage dump. And I've been to some very, very large garbage dumps. When the garbage man comes to take your garbage away, there is no place called away. There's no place called away. He takes that away from your site, but your away is somebody else's backyard, isn't it? It doesn't just go away. If you've ever walked along the ocean beach, you see plastic stuff that comes out of the ocean. In fact, there's a garbage line or a waste line that where the water washes in, and it shows that, where that is, that there actually is plastic pieces and plastic things. When you flush your toilet, where does it go? Do you know? It doesn't go away. It goes somewhere. And when your dog runs, do you know where your dog is? Please keep your dogs on their leashes this time of year, especially with all of the animals, even my little rabbit friends having babies. When you live next to a river and spray your lawn or wash your car, do you know where it goes? It doesn't just go away, it goes somewhere. So learn where things go, and it will change your life. Nothing goes away, and sometimes that makes a difference. And then fourthly, I would say join a club. 4-H is an incredible thing that shows kids where things go and how things work and life cycles and with the processes of it all. You can join the National Arbor Day Foundation. They will give you, if you join them, free trees to plant. And I've done that, and I've planted their trees. And there are trees in this world now because I like to give back. Even at a young age, you can begin to invest in God's creation. I meet people every day that say they care, but they don't pay anything to help. So join a club. They like to hike all over the place. In fact, they go to hiking trails and they go all over the places and they float rivers, but they don't really pay much more than maybe a Como lake pass. Buy a duck stamp. Even if you don't hunt, it pays for Songbirds Wetland. One of the best things you can do if you love birds is to simply buy a duck stamp. Imagine a lifetime collection of duck stamps. My son, my youngest son, he just now applied for his very first tag draw in his life in the state of Colorado. And when he applied for those tag draws for hunting, the very first thing he did, I asked him what he did. The very first thing he did was he bought a duck stamp because he realizes what that does for the wildlife, especially in his area. It provides for songbirds. It provides for so many other animals. If you simply buy a duck stamp, it provides wetlands for the animals around you. You can join Ducks Unlimited. It's a tremendous organization, and it's not about shooting ducks. They're about preserving ducks. Join Ducks Unlimited or the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Elk are here on the landscape today because of Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. They're an incredible organization that have done some fantastic things. Montana Trappers Association is a wonderful organization that does a lot of wildlife conservation to help the species. Think about it. They don't want animals to go away. They want animals to be here. And one of the newest and latest and greatest organizations is Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. They're doing a whole lot to open up public lands for people to be able to participate and hike and experience the backcountry areas and open those up. These organizations are the greatest conservationists because they care. Go to Metcalf Wildlife Preserve and see what Ducks Unlimited has provided for all of the birds, all of the songbirds that are happening right now. Psalm 24 verse 1 tells us, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it." We want to be good stewards of what God has given us the responsibility for, which brings me to my last point. Get grounded. Simply get grounded. Don't separate yourself from the earth, especially on the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. Folks, I don't care what age you are, you can feel the earth. You can get grounded. Literally, physically feeling the earth. You can get grounded. That's much easier for my friend like Charlie, who gets to walk those beaches down there in Florida where it's so pretty right now. But go out and barefoot and feel the grass on your feet. Touch the earth. Go get dirty in your garden. Wade a creek with your mom or dad. We're all part of God's green earth. So become part of it. Go out and experience it. Psalm 24 verse 1 tells us the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. Thanks guys for being here with me. I better get my little rabbit friend back with its mama. What a great Earth Day it is. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. Psalm 24, verse 1. Let me pray for you. Lord, I just thank you for all of the people, but especially the children who are able to enjoy the world that you've given them and the things that are around them. And I pray that as they grow, they might be good stewards of this garden that you've given us to tend. help us to be earth conscious and aware of what things are taking place around us, and help us to have a good say in those things, that we might just always enjoy the good things that you have for us. We praise you and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you all. Thanks so much for being a part of these times together. This is incredibly hard, and I'm really looking forward to the time I'll be able to preach from a pulpit again. But until then, I just want to say thanks so much for being part here with me and participating in these things. And your incredible encouragement is amazing. I just appreciate so much all of your comments and your encouragement as we want to go forward as we can. I'm really looking forward to very, very soon being in the church again. But these videos are reaching so far that I'm thinking we might continue them. We'll see what happens. My technology is so low key, and my ability to do these are so poor. But I just appreciate being able to share with all of you. So on behalf of my rabbit friend here and myself, we say goodbye and have a great Earth Day.